Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to bake a high poly sculpt from ZBrush onto a low poly mesh in Maya via xnormal. Xnormal is a free program which you can download online. It's really easy to find, just type in xnormal and download it. It's also available on every school computer. So for starters, we're going to be making like a cobblestone wall, vaguely like this. So first, we're going to make sure some of our settings are correct in Maya. First one we're going to do is go to display, heads-up display, poly count, and turn that on because we want to pay close attention to how many vertices we're working with at all times. Next, we're going to go to Window, Setting Preferences, Plugin Manager, and I think OBJ is about 3/4 halfway down. There it is, OBJ export.mll, turn on loaded, and autoload, close. Alright, now let's start on our little cobblestone wall, or you can just do it as a cube, whatever you want. So go create, polygon primitives, also turn off interactive creation if that's still on, polygon primitives, cube. Let's zoom it up, we get a little more cobblestone wall shaped. Alrighty, a little wider, there's that, and let's delete the bottom face, because that's planted in the ground and we will never see that. Now, let's make it a little bit more beveled, because this is far too polygonal. Mesh tools, insert edge loop tool, scale down the top, make it a little more rounded, and then we're just going to bevel these edges on the side. Select these guys, edit mesh, edge bevel, and yeah, let's try it at 0.5. Yeah, that's fine for what we're doing. Next thing we're going to do is when you're baking normals, the default in Maya is that most of your edges will be hardened, and you will certainly want that in some cases. In this particular case, I do not want any of these to be hardened though, so I'm going to select all of these top edges and go to Normals, Soften Edge. And now Maya will try to create this default soft look for us. Alrighty, let's edit Delete by Type History and modify Freeze Transformations. And let's give this a name. Low poly stone wall. Alright, next we're going to add this to its own layer. I'm going to name this layer low poly stone wall. Save. And before doing anything else, we're going to unwrap this, because one of the most important things you should remember is to always unwrap your low poly mesh first. Always, always, always. Put it into your space. Turn on checkers one last time to check it. That's good enough for this demonstration. Alright, minimize that. It's unwrapped. Good. Once again, delete history, edit delete by type history. Now we are going to duplicate this with Control D. And now you have a direct duplicate. It's right on top of the other one. We're going to add this duplicate to its own layer now. Give that layer a good name. Call this high poly wall. Save. Now we're going to toggle off the visibility of the low poly one, so again we're just left with this one. And we're also going to name this mesh high poly wall. And now we're going to take it into smooth mode. 3. Now we're going to turn on press 2 on the keyboard. You'll see the low poly cage around it. And let's add some constructive edge loops to kind of shore it up. Mesh tools, insert edge loop tool. I want my edges to still be pretty rounded, so I'm going to be quite generous with where I place my edge loops. Okay, now I press 3 to check. Still nice and smooth. Good. So with smooth mode turned on, with 3 on the keyboard, go to Modify, Convert, Smooth Mesh Preview to Polygons. And there we go, we've got our high poly, and you'll note it's at 681 vertices, so keep that in mind. Let's delete our history one more time. And now let's export this. File, export selection with it selected. We're going to scroll down. OBJ should probably be the last one on your options list. We're going to go to wherever it is that you're saving them. So for me, it's all the way in here. And we're going to call this Maya Unwrapped Low Wall. And you might be wondering why we're naming this the low wall when we've already named it like the high poly wall. The answer to that is this might be high poly in terms of Maya, but compared to ZBrush, in which we will be working in literally millions of vertices compared to 681, this will in fact be our low poly compared to ZBrush. So go ahead and export selection. And now let's open up ZBrush. So this is your first time opening ZBrush. By default, it should come in looking something like this. You'll have this annoying banner right across the middle of your canvas, and we don't want that. So to get rid of it, go to Lightbox, show hide, tap it once, and that's out of your way. So to actually get our object, we're going to go to Import, right here, press it once, and navigate to where you saved that OBJ. And open. Okay, so now you'll see that the stone wall is right here, but it hasn't appeared on our canvas, and that's because we need to draw it onto our canvas. If you note right here, it has this little arrow in the rectangle. That is how we're going to draw it once onto the canvas. So just go ahead and press once with the stylus, and it will appear. To actually be able to start sculpting on it, you have to go into edit mode, which you can see right here. The hotkey for that is pressing T. And now you'll see that it is changed to an actual brush and not the draw rectangle. However, a lot of times people accidentally draw things like this, and it's like, oh no, now I have a dozen of them. If you run into that situation, don't worry, press Control-N on your keyboard. That will make a new canvas. You should have none anymore, and then just draw one this time. And then press T to go into sculpt mode. You can also press F to focus on your object if it drew kind of far away, just like mine did. Okay. So some basic navigation in ZBrush. Draw with the stylus anywhere around the object on like the gray black part of the canvas, and you will rotate around it. To pan it up and down, press Alt, then draw on this with the stylus. And to zoom, you can use this little zoom button right here, and the hotkey for that is Alt Control. Oops, oh no. Is Alt, you have to start panning it, then Control. Sorry about that, guys. So one more time. You have to press Alt, pan with it a little bit, then you can press Control on the keyboard, and then you'll be able to zoom in and out. You press F to focus again. To snap to an orthogonal, for example, we are mostly going to be wanting to look at the broad side of our wall. Draw with the stylus on the gray or black, start rotating it around, and then hold down Shift on the keyboard, and it will automatically snap to any orthogonal view by 90-degree increments. So I'm going to zoom out. So now we're going to actually begin getting this thing ready to be sculpted on. If you come down here along this toolbar, see this one that says Line Fill Poly F, click it on, you will see the topology that we got from Maya. This is not going to be enough for sculpting in ZBrush. So for example, you guys will be in Brush Standard. See the red crosshair, and there'll be a little red dot on your stylus. If you try to draw on this, it'll look weird and ugly and polygonal and no good. You need it to be a lot more high poly. So just Control Z, undo all that. Up here, if you want to notice as well, this is an undo history, so we can go way back in our history and kind of like choose where we want to stop our undos. Let's undo that, and let's make this much more high poly. So you can, we are going to go down to ZBrush and just press ZBrush once, and this is going to be ZBrush giving it its own type of topology. Right here is our active points, and if you'll notice, we're now at 5,000, whereas before we had 681. So now we are much more high poly. I'm going to toggle that off. When we draw on it, it's still pretty chunky. You can easily see the quads. That's no good. We don't want that. So we're going to go up here to divide. By default, SMT right here that's highlighted stands for smooth. That is always on by default. In some cases, you won't want smooth to be on because you'll want to preserve the crisp edges that you got from your Maya model. For me personally, with this stone wall, I think smooth would probably help, so I'm going to leave that on. Go ahead and press divide. And note how much we jumped up by. We are now at almost 21,000 vertices. Let's take a little drawing test. I can still see the quads. It's not high enough. Undo, press divide again. We're now at 83. Looking pretty good. Still see it a little bit. And in ZBrush, like, for like an object as simple as this, like 1,000,000 would be too much, but like you can crank it up pretty high. So we're at 332,000. Yeah, this is good. I will work with this. This will be alright. Undo. So now we're actually ready to begin sculpting. Right now we have got the standard brush on, and it's kind of round soft worms, and that's not very stone-like. So we are going to choose a different brush that is more suited for sculpting stone. So if you come over here to standard, you'll see a picture of the brush we currently have. Click on it once, and you'll open up the brush library. You can also get to this by pressing B on the keyboard, and it will open this up. And we're going to be using clay buildup. It's a standard tool. Has a lot of great uses. Right here. Click it. Another way to navigate to this, I'm going to get back to brush standard, is with hotkeys. So you press B once to open up your library, and from here it's done alphabetically. So clay buildup starts with C. So if I press C on the keyboard, it's now narrowed down the library to everything that starts with C. If I press B one more time, I am now on brush clay buildup because it's CB. So that's a quicker way to get to things. Right now we have an alpha of a plain old square with slightly fuzzy edges. I'm going to give it something a little noisier. I'm going to choose this one right here just because stone is rough, it's not perfectly smooth. Now if we draw with it, we've got this. Alright, looking better, looking more stone-like. Now we're going to go over the actual kind of like options of your brush. If you look up here, you will see them. Intensity refers to the strength. So right there it was at 20, I crank it up to 100. You can see how it is pulling out more. That's what intensity it does. Let's put that back down. Right here we have focal shift. That refers to like the soft fuzziness or like the hard narrowness. There it is. So it's small, and that's actually soft and fuzzy. And if we crank it downward, now it's getting a lot harder. So this is like a hard firm brush versus like a soft fuzzy one, just like in Photoshop. I'll undo that. And then the last thing, of course, is the actual size of the brush. Gigantic brush, smaller. And if you hover over each one of these options, they will show you their keyboard shortcut. So draw size is S, and it will come up this little menu, and you can grab it right there. Focal shift is O, and I'm going to make mine a little bit softer. Not too much, because stone is like, it has rough and hard edges. Unless it's like well worn. But I'm going to do kind of like jagged, more cobblestone. And then intensity is U. Maximum to very soft. So I'm going to scribble some stuff here. And one more thing to show is if you hold down Shift, you'll notice that the red circles have now turned blue, and that's because this is the hotkey to go to your smooth brush. By default, the intensity of your smooth brush is at 100, which in general is probably too much. crank it like to 40 or 50 or something. And then if you just draw with your smooth brush, you have to hold down shift, you'll notice that it just smooths everything out. And that can be really useful too, if you're doing like more well-worn, eroded stone versus like really rough, jagged stone. Let's undo that, and let's get to work. Let's see, I think that is not intense enough. I'm going to increase my intensity a little bit. That should be fine, and I'm also going to increase my focus shift a little bit more actually. And then just start sculpting. I'm going to do this really quick. It's beautiful. Ship it. So now, if you'll notice, these parts that we sculpted, they've got this nice rough noise, but the parts that we didn't, those are still perfectly smooth. So we're going to use two ways to kind of make those rough, and also maybe give this more of a feeling of like grout in between the actual like stone bricks or literal stones. If you press Alt, you'll notice that the little crosshairs between the red circles will now have a minus. Then if you draw, it will dig into the surface. So I'm going to make my brush smaller, press Alt, and kind of create this feeling of grout in between the bricks or stone. Okay, just like that. So I accidentally masked everything by pressing Ctrl Alt too quickly. Masking. Clear. Alright, we're good. There are a lot of really cool brushes in ZBrush. You can explore them, try them out. Another good one we could use to get rid of some of the smoothness is the rake brush. Press B, then you press R, it'll take us to rake, because that's the only brush that starts with R in the library. We change our alpha to that same one we were using. So make it a little bit bigger, and then we draw. Oh, that intensity was too much. Let's turn down that intensity. Whoop, that was our one. You crank it down. Now, with like Alt on, we can add to and take away from that smooth area and give it that nice rough surface. So right there. Because rake is just like a surface detail brush. So I'm just kind of pressing Alt randomly as I go. Alright, that's good enough for my example. So this is our extremely high poly. It's 332,000 vertices. We're going to export this out. Whoop, and name it as such. So ZBrush high poly wall. Make sure you're saving the right place. Save the OBJ. We are also going to do like a mid-poly version, so to speak. We're going to decrease the vertices on this one to about the same level as the one in Maya, and then we're going to try baking the normals onto that. So we're going to go to Dynamesh, and we're going to crank our resolution down to like, let's try, well, I'd say about 100. Yeah, 100. Good enough. Press Dynamesh and press No if it asks you about freezing subdivisions. Alright, we're down to 39,000 vertices instead of 300,000. Done with Dynamesh. There it is. There's that bottom filled in like I thought it was going to. We don't want that. We'll have to fix that in Maya. Alright, go to ZRemesher. And now we're going to take our target polygon count, because remember the one we had in Maya was about 681. Not about, it was exactly 681. We're going to get kind of close. So let's try cranking down the target poly count to just 1. Press ZRemesher. And this might take a little bit as it thinks about it. Okay, we're down to 3,000 vertices. Much better. Still not low enough. 3,000 vertices for a single object like this in Maya would be quite a bit. So let's try like 0.2, press ZRemesh again. 1,900. Still too many. Try 0.1, press ZRemesh. Alright, 915, we can work with that. That's only about 300 more vertices than what we had in Maya. So this is our mid-poly, so to speak. And what we're doing here is we're kind of taking some of these surface bumps from ZBrush, we'll take them into Maya, and then when we bake the high poly sculpted normals onto this, it will look really nice. You might notice, though, that the ZBrush topology that you get with ZRmesher is kind of weird and bad. For objects like this, it doesn't matter so much. The object isn't animating, it doesn't need to deform, it's fine if it has kind of weird, bad topology. And I like to kind of try it both ways and see which one looks better in the end. So let's export this now. Whoops, come back to your view. Export. And we will name this one mid or low poly. Call this mid poly ZBrush wall. And save. Okay, let's minimize ZBrush. Back to Maya. And we're going to hide that high poly wall, and we're going to import in what we just did. File import. And let's choose the mid poly ZBrush wall. Import. There it is. 915 vertices. If we open up the texture editor, you'll notice that the UVs that we did are gone. And that is because when you press Dynamesh in ZBrush, it has the function by default of filling in any holes in your object. So remember, we deleted this in Maya because we knew it's going to be in the ground, it'll never be seen, which is good policy. But ZBrush filled that right up for us, and we actually didn't want that in this case. So we need to delete that and then unwrap this again. With those. And now let's quickly unwrap. Let's turn on the checkers. Well, checkerboard looks even, but then if we turn on the border edges, we can start to see where the problems are. Ooh. Oh well. Alright. Unwrap. Edit. Delete. All by type. History. Modify. Freeze transformations. And one last thing we're going to do, actually, is go into edge mode, select all of your edges, and go normal, soften edge. Because when we export this one out, if we have all of those hardened, every single one of those hardened edges will be baked into our normal map, and so we'll have like a very strange, faceted rock texture, which we do not want. So everything is softened. Delete history one more time. Alright, now we're going to export this out again. File, export selection. And we will name this one Unwrapped Mid Poly Wall. For xnormals to even work, your low poly must be unwrapped. So now we finally have got all of our meshes. They're unwrapped. Let's open up xnormal. And here it is. It's a very straightforward program. Works really well. I use it all the time. Xnormals and Substance. So click on High Definition Meshes. Or right-click in this black area. Choose Add Meshes. Navigate to where you saved them. Examples. Stonewall. So for mine, my ZBrush high poly wall.obj will be my high poly. Open. Let's go to low definition meshes. We're actually going to do 2 of these. Let's start with the unwrapped mid poly wall, one that we just unwrapped. Open. Now we're going to go to baking options. We're going to turn on normal map and ambient occlusion. Double check that none of the other settings are on by default. I'm going to make a 1024 map. Whoops. This is a little bit high res, just so we can see things clearly. And anti-aliasing, you can choose between 1, 2, and 4. I usually go 2. And by default, xnormals will put like underscore normal or underscore ambient occlusion after whatever you type in here, so keep that in mind. So I'm just going to type in mid poly wall, and then xnormals will handle the normal and the ambient occlusion underscore for me. Save, and then we just press generate map. And this shouldn't take too long if you are baking something from ZBrush that was like 2 million vertices, or even like 11 to 12 million, then this can take a while, but this should only take a few minutes. So our ambient occlusion and our normal map is done being generated. Press close. Go back to Maya. We are going to add this guy to his own layer while it's on my mind. Also give him a better name. Mid poly wall. Add his own layer. There we go. And I'm going to assign it a new material. I'm going to give it a blend, just because it kind of helps me to see the bumpiness and how the normals are actually working. Go to our blend attributes. Go down to bump mapping. Press the checker. Choose file. Choose tangent space normals. Then go to this little guy right here, input connection. Then choose the file. Go find it. Examples, stone wall. There we go. Mid poly wall normals. Open. Oh no! Nothing's happened! That's because we don't have textures turned on yet. So you go to the black and white checkered sphere up here, turn textures on, voila! It's beautiful. Next we're going to go back to our blend and we're going to choose the ambient occlusion as our color. And I always like to put the ambient occlusion on it just so I can kind of see the darkness in the cracks and the light highlights, and it gives me a better feeling of the mesh. So there it is, our disgustingly beautiful stone wall. But this is with our mid poly 879. I'm sure you're all just dying to know what this would look like on this chunky fellow who's only 24 vertices. So let's find out. Back to xnormal. We go back to our low definition meshes. Uncheck the one we just had because we don't want to use that one. Add another mesh. And now we're going to take the Maya unwrapped low wall. This is the one that was just 24 vertices, and we're going to try to bake our 332,000 vertice high poly onto this. So let's see how it goes. Let's change the name to low poly wall. All these other settings can stay the same, and hit generate map. Alright, our maps are done. Close that. Let's go back to Maya. Get that out of the way. We'll assign this one a new material, also a blend. Scroll over to our blend settings. And let's go find tangent space. Oh, tangent space normals. Let's go find our file. So that'd be low poly wall normals. Look at that. Not bad. This is only 24 vertices, yet it has like the appearance of a 332,000 model. Of course, this one there is absolutely, because it's a normal map, there's no surface illusion at all, just flat. And that can be totally fine if, like, this is just a cobblestone wall that's only going to be seen from, like, this far away in your game. Who cares? Nobody. But if it's something a little bit closer, that might be when you want to swap it out for, I guess I wouldn't call this the mid-poly, but something that's comparatively, like, this one's 24, this one is 879. It's a little more, but it does have that bumpy texture. You could also try running a mesh reduce on it, so you can get it down even more. Now it's only 365, but it still has some of those bumps. So it's kind of up to you how much you want to, like how important it is to have some breakup of the surface illusion or not. And if you notice right there, this strange black line, I'm going to bet that because, yep, sometimes when you add something to your color, transparency will automatically turn on, and then you can see things like this mysteriously through your mesh. To break the transparent connection, just right-click on the word transparency, choose break connection, and you should see that that weird little black line will disappear, and you'll also see up here that it will become a solid object again. There we go, and that little weird line is gone. So here's example number 1 of how to bake high polys from ZBrush onto a low poly mesh. It should be noted that xnormals does not accept n-gons at all. So if you suspect you have any n-gons, do a quick mesh cleanup or mesh quadrangulate and get those out of the way, because xnormals will give you a little error message saying, hey, you have n-gons, we can't bake for you. But there's example number 1.